Hello. What happened to go indie as we went live? Chin chin. It is Moon Day, I believe, the 5th of August. Around about 10:40 GMT. Gangsters, meantime. Just thought I'd give a little update on where I'm at. Night scribes, owls, how we doing? Let's have a proper catch up now. I had brother Shaft come round last night. Straightened him out good and proper. I've started to look at quantum grammar, mathematics within the grammar. The latter part of the study that I want to do with regards to a gentleman, a brother that I've never really studied. I'm aware of some years ago, maybe 5 something. I looked at brother David Wynne of the Miller tribe, family and clan. I was warned that it was a bit treacherous, a bit like Alistair Crowley, Manly P. Hall and so forth. So if I'm honest with you, you can tell that my style, findings, discovery, articulation and extrapolation of, and let's not go for the mood light, it's a bit intense all this. Let me pick a colour. There we go. I haven't used the past syntax grammar heavily until the latter part when I discovered the hyphenation. Let me think. The language fraud, the fraud, the corruption of text, glossa, dogma, glossa, hieroglyphs, capitalized letters, underlined, italic, lifting it off the page. And much like the courtroom set out with the layers and so forth, the document, the paper, the language, and the syntax of the language. So I'm happy to report I've just watched a couple of David Wynne Miller videos regarding quantum grammar, because I'm looking into maths and the language itself. Negative law, positive law, natural law, and because we're doing publications, I'm being very careful with the words that we choose to use. I haven't looked at words so heavily in all of my life, so I'm conscious of every word that we use, and I was forewarned that certain lines, avenues of research would lead to fruitless gains, shall we say, and wasted energy. So I am going to continue on. I'm going to have a look at the propositions of the language itself and what that man's research and discovery has led to, and I will articulate and take from his teachings, and whether that means that he's been in the presence of Masons and adverbs, syntaxes in general with the language, because the codings of Bibles and scripts and manuscripts and codes and occult teachings, some of them are missing parts in the context of. So he can use mathematics in which to balance. And I'm a numbers man, so I'm quite happy to say that I've left David Wynne Miller's research and study till the end, and I am into the quantum realm and the quantum side of the understanding of our reality, of our constructs and universe. So the laws, hermetic principles, there are things out there that we see that are steadfast and solid, that will work with a advantageous, beneficial, smooth, in line with nature result, and there are other ways of which we go against and don't have a beneficial result. So I'll leave it at that and open to your interpretation. But I find through my readings the other day as above, so below, as above, and the Hermetic teachings and principles of past contain this saying as well. Just a nice little reflection on things that are written after the event itself and then purported to be their own event. So mathematics and the balancing, what I've come to understand is the teachings of this realm are what have encapsulated us and capped us into where we're at. So much like in the Matrix, where Neo is surrounded by the television screens with the architect, and they're discussing how Neo is and why he is and how many times he's been and what he's doing going around that loop, about it being a choice. It is indeed very much a free will, a choice. So that being said, when you have a language presented to you and to describe to you with the way that it has been, and leading questions set up, leading, like when you go into this language realm, and law and codified secular law, how it's translated and took across in all languages, then I'm interested to see how others view the words that are used, the verbs, nouns, the two consonants followed by a vowel rule being negative. And so, it's about time I went into a bit of DWM amongst other things and looked at the numbers and the balances, the negatives, the positive, and what this man's got to say. So if anybody's got any relevant comments of such with regards to mathematics, numbers, the law itself and why they use negatives within. An example would be in this system, you can plead guilty, not guilty, or no plea. So you have a negative being guilty, you have another negative with guilty being in not guilty, and not being a negative in itself. So a negative, you see, or no plea. Well, no is a negative as well. So not guilty, and guilty, and no, and it's interesting to say the least. So if there is a scientific mathematical algorithm within the language itself, and David Wynne Miller, whether he mixed with whom, I don't mind that side of life. I'm after the integral information to pass on to our unborn lineage to make life, language, communication, law, property, rights and titles easier for all. So it doesn't matter where the core information and the background research comes from, and whom we take that from, with claims about Alan Watts and Napoleon Hill and so forth and so on. Then we take our sources from everywhere and anywhere relevant, and we will continue on with that. So I have labelled David Wynne Miller a bit of a no-go area for myself, because it's too overwhelming to, as you are finding out, being self-initiate scribes of this channel and of law in the realm yourselves. You have to pick your pathway, and you can only assimilate well an amount of data per day, per hour, per week. And if you are in trade servitude and you've got other things going on, then it depends how your mindset is to how you will digest that. And with that said, what I said to Shaf last night was, amongst many things, in the beginning there was the word. The word is a phonic audio vibratory sound. So in the beginning, I'm just hear me out, and then after the word was the creation, was a manifestation of things as we know it now. That manifestation has led to us here 2019 allegedly, so be it. Now we have this word in this language, but at first there was the word and consciousness gave birth to reality, man, things, and consciousness has created language, and this language now is helping Shaf and others, the self-initiates, consciousness grow. So we have a loop, a circle, or an infinity going off here with the fact that there was the consciousness and the word before language, creating reality, man and further consciousness expanded, creates language. Language is a tool, as you are finding out, a very articulate and powerful one, albeit the language is now helping the consciousness further expand, but the consciousness come before the language, and now the language is helping the consciousness. It's a very interesting tool, and you don't know what you do not know. To quote someone from somewhere at some point, and when you do know that, it's a whole doorway will open of an avenue. You know, some of your brains yearn for that accurate, concise knowledge to put your own understanding, king standing position of things and into perspective. So the fact that there was consciousness and the word reality, that created later on the language. This use of this language is helping the consciousness and the articulation of the legal claims upon your person and the liabilities be handled effectively. It's not about getting out of anything. We didn't create this system. We didn't start the fire. It has indeed been turning since been burning since the world's been turning. All we're going to do is help try and douse it a bit and put it out. So I need the maths, I need the numbers, and I need to know if there is a code within this already well codified, you know, gematria, the menorah, the numbers and the letters and the etymology. That's why we're here. We're in a pathway and we're starting to publish and articulate the findings, the practicality, the uses of it, and then the benefits of that when we find out if we repeatedly do that, we have repeated, steady, known of, guaranteed outcomes. So certain procedures that you encounter every day, such as when the telephone rings, when the door rings, or when an agent comes and brings stuff with, I need to censor something right there, bring stuff with this on. Let's get some cigarette paper that's immensely thin. David, you have the craziest ideas. That will not cover that, will it, son? Right there. No pens in the kitchen, that's right. Anne-Marie is very good. Yes, when you've got knocks at the door and you get notices through telephone calls ringing, this is a good one to show you, even though it's dark. So someone's given me that. Look at that straight away. What draws your attention? The red light, circles, symbols, squares, rednesses. What's that all about? It's a reminder. An agent's been to somebody's property and he wanted to pass me that to see if I'd not seen the latest, paraphernalia. As you were not in, we're scheduling another visit to your property. I've since given the inclination of putting up a sign that says private property, admittance is strictly via appointment only, and the details to give, and trespass there, concessions, TV licensing, indeed, it does make me laugh. £154.50, and there's a maximum fine of £1,000 if you do not conform with this private broadcasting policy here. Since YouTube has done what it's done, with regards to the Hangouts, we're not having any guests on anytime soon. I would like to outlay even more so the fact that we build our own broadcasting systems, or we go into a cooperation with somebody, or we go into further design for ourselves. I did perchance mention an app called Discord, network facility, server. If that's not free, then I need ideas for how we're going to further communicate with video casts or mixing panels as such. Video recording software is great, but we need it live, so As far as I can see, the software requires payment. The partnerships that Google have recommended that we use now to set these hangouts up. Who have we got in the house? Hello to the 20 on the moon day. Brother John. Mathematic books from the College. Yes, John. The quantum word is complex. Awaken, easy, thank you. Is not without both negative. No. Thank you, John. Michael, hello. Yes, Clint. And that's the thing, they are the same as well with this business. You could go from all the languages and background to English again and it'd translate the same. There'd be no lost in translation as you get elsewhere, which is, in itself a problem and a conundrum. So you've got a lot of books, John, a lot of books. Followed his teachings for many moons. I believe what you speak, Dave, makes more logical sense. Many bad reports about CCSGG, something syntax, quantum. I don't know what that's on about, but I'm just going to carry on. Thank you, Dazzy. Yeah, I've left it alone because I didn't want to get tainted with, you're watching many a speaker, philosopher, weighing up and evaluating, plus your own battles, experiences. So some I did stay away from because the gravitas of the content they were showing was over the head, and it just wastes time. And when you've got hundreds of possible videos to watch, thousands of books and PDFs and documents to scan and to read and look at, then you need to use your time effectively. So it's not been till now that I would actually be even to appreciate any of the positions and benefits of this balanced, codified way of looking and communicating at. So effectiveness, translation, negative and positive, leading, unfair bias. We're aware of most of it, so I'm just letting you know, get ready for what may follow. But thank you, Dazzy. I'm on the case. Thank you, John, as well. That's right. So it says, indeed it does. Adult easy, super leads. Indeed, feeling that. It's just another manic Monday. There you go. Have that one instead. I raise you. It's fascinating whether you believe it or not. Yeah, I'll let you know, Andy. Just watch this space. Check out some software called Yardstream. I will do. Alright then, nice one. Yardstream. Wagwan. I've put a couple of suggestions on SPOs. Nice one, Michael. Much love. Thank you, brother. Don't worry about that. We're all at ease. I am the king of bad spelling. What else did I want to tell you that was interesting, but not ultimately? You'll find when you travel around the realm, nothing to do with language now, but it's still getting screwed over. The ingredients in major branded products heavily change. When I've gone to Hungary, Greece, Italy, Bosnia, and what did I buy? Yeah, I bought stuff in Bosnia and a few other countries. You notice the taste difference in things, and they're due to the economy and trade agreements of the governments and what would you call it, inflationary powers of the central banks. That dictates ultimately the content of the major international branded food. So what I want to do now is say that there's been some stories that Anne-Marie's picked up on, and food quality in Austria comparable to food quality in Hungary. Now somebody's bought an Interspar, not Spar as we know it, but international Spar are all called Interspars, and they're bigger than the biggest supermarket you've ever seen. And they're just Spar shops. You may have seen one on your holiday travels, and to be able to relate. I went live a few times in my excitement of numbers and such amounts of drugs and chemicals in quantifies quantities that I've never seen before. So they bought some Spar chicken nuggets in Austria, and they bought some Spar chicken nuggets in Hungary, and they compared the colour, shape, texture and ingredients. There was 67% chicken meat in the Austrian chicken nuggets. In the Hungarian Spar chicken nuggets, there was 27% chicken meat, and it was telling you about the substitution of and what these corporations are doing, what they're doing when they substitute the good quality, what it is. If you buy something called a chicken nugget, you expect it to be a nugget of chicken. Sorry, vegetarians, but this is just, another moving away from dead animals and meat would be this. I would like you all to see this. I'm not an angel, and I like to have sweet drinks and bits and bobs, and sometimes honey and bananas and that doesn't cut it. These are from a Polish shop down the road. You get two for £1, and they're only thin little, what are they, 400ml syrupy drinks. But in here, it takes pride on telling you that there is no, that one's a bit ripped actually. I'll read it afterwards, but the proof is in the pudding. In that green, it tells you that there is no source of phenylalanine, or, let me read this over. Syrup with cherry flavour, no glucose, fructose syrup, sweetener, no preservatives, no colorants, vitamin C added, and it is pasteurized, all right? But bear that in mind. Now I'm going to go through the ingredients, and this is an international Polish drink, and it's two for £1, and they've come from Poland, and they've been brought from Poland to the United Kingdom under commercial admiralty export import, and they're being sold for £1 over here. And they caught my eye, so I thought I'll have a look and see. Let's have a go. And there is no colours, vitamin C, pasteurised. Ingredients: sugar, water, cherry juice made from concentrated cherry juice, concentrate of black carrot, acidity regulator, that's 5, Dave, all right, 5, citric acid is 6, enriching substance is 7, vitamin C is 8, aroma is 9, and that's it. The ingredients finish at 9. Best before, end date and batch number. See details printed on cap. Protect from sunlight. Once opened, blah blah blah. Consume it within 30 days. The tiny amount of syrup like that, consume it within 30 days is no problem. But no cancer from Poland. So I'm not endorsing it, and I'm not saying that anything other than Lawich. You kick arse. Those drinks, they taste like, if you go back to the old days when you were buying your ice pops at 5p, Mr. Freeze, back in the hot summers after the school, and you got the blue one that tasted like raspberry, and the red strawberry one. They were very nice, and these but raspberries and strawberries taste like Mr. Freeze's. Pasteurized, so there's no real vitamins in it, but if you like your juice and you don't want to drink the sugar-free crap, even Rubicon has substituted the sugar because of the sugar tax for stevitol, aspartame. I don't know what's in there, but they've taken the sugar out and it doesn't taste very nice anymore. So to the makers of Rubicon, well done for saving on the sugar tax. You've ruined your drink, and I shall not be ever buying it again. I used to like an odd little drink of it, and making a little bit of cocktails and so forth, but blending your own fruit, yes, and adding pure water, that's great. In emergencies and practicality, when you're running around and stuff, we can't all be blending, chopping and mixing and whatever, and you like to have a little bit of non-cancerous, quick, convenient, in non-cancer causing plastic receptacles. It's just insane. But I just wanted to give a shout out, non-law based but anti-cancer, and 9 ingredients coming from Poland, imported to England, on the shelf for £1, making a profit. It's just madness, proper madness. When you think about the logistics of it all, and the austerity, and a lorry drivers had to be paid. Incredible. It's not come from England and gone anywhere and come back, which would be even worse for carbon footprints and trade agreements and whatnot. But different countries, that we would regard as subservient to us, to our supremacy, that we, I don't know where we get this idea from, but allegedly we British think, you know, that we lord it up for some reason when we're actually the slaves just like the rest of them. So pig ignorance are quite a lot when we have it presented to us. So these are the countries that we consider subservient and not as effective and secure and solid. They have a lot of products which is far superior to the ones we get and the ones that our government legislation allow. Such as Chef Jamie Oliver and his campaign with the school dinners. There's a celebrity type that I admired there and I got a lot of love and respect for. And that's something that, we've got time for. He deserves a pat on the back for his efforts and what he pointed out there. Pink slime in burgers. Bernard Matthews Twizzlers, that was a beaut, wasn't it? Contains very little, and what he pointed out, absolutely fantastic. When it's true, you can say it. So only when it's lies and you say it that it becomes, defamation of character, slander and libelous. You point out some truth, not many know, and are horrified by, then it's insane. It's where we are, and it's what commerce allows to be happening. A quality of food, which is, food products, food and drugs being in food in general, should all be redrafted and re-looked at again. The laws that we have and the way that food is and why it comes in the way that it does, the pesticides, the agricultural control and the legislative laws that we have there. It's in dire need of attention. What Brother Josh was saying and the ideas and others that have, and Daz, I think you set up something. Could you not send me an email, Dazzy, about the land, what you set up and what you do with your own pasteurisation? Talk about being pasteurised as in that, but you have got a pasture of your own and you grow some fruits, vegetables, produce, and become a little bit sufficient, save some effort there at the supermarket, even if it's just potatoes and root veg. It's something you can, and the young ones getting involved, getting back, putting something back there. It's small, but it's somewhere to start, and it's admirable, very admirable. Much like teaching the young ones the value of, seeds and growth and Mother Nature. Where do we get to? I think Michael it was. It's good to learn logic and grammar. Trivium. Steve. Alright then, nice one, thank you, bro. The Santos charts, high res if you want them. Yes, I do, indeed. You know where to send them. Much appreciated. Look for PDF download code. San Isidore of Seville in English is all about the etymology of words. Is it now? Is it indeed? Never heard of it. Isidore of Seville in English. It does sound a little bit Francais there, doesn't it? But doesn't matter. Well appreciated. Yes, I love aspartame. Makes me well interrogant. Fuzzy glitchy brain freeze there. Idiocracy. Jesus, yes. Speak for yourself, JJ. I like that. Super leads is straight on that. Okay. Build me a spaceship. John, you've got a few in the shed. I know you have, mate. I do. That's all we can do, Jesus. Where are we at to? Lone Scum, Elon, yeah, super. Corporation, license represents corporation, dead speed. Yes, commercial admiralty. When we say corporation, remember that's the realm and jurisdiction of which it resides in there, John. One of them. School to do see the truth. Yeah, for a tiny little island, the banks and the London, and how tinier, how smaller in comparison to the landmass, the British Isles, London, and the Lord Mayor and his London, elite, within London itself. You know, that little square mile, and what that's done on a landmass basis. You know, that's incredible. That's massive. You know, that's long. I've seen quite a lot of the landmass, not all of it by a long shot, but it's a lot of miles to have jurisdiction over from a tiny little office in London, and then shipping out what they've shipped out with regards to civil codified, such as Hong Kong, China, Japan, and so forth, the civil law system, and America's is, you know, we've been there a lot, we all know that, but elsewhere, the jurisdiction and the civil hierarchy, the codified civil laws that they've implemented and shown, to some extent, China, it's not worked out well for them, has it? Look at them now, they all need a chip and a pin, and if you are not playing the game, then I'm sorry, you get turned off. Your rights have been digitized, and you know, you get sanctioned via I can't charging in extreme charging. Thank you, Daz. Civilian English, Oxford University Press, Steve. That is very concise, and I will be checking that out, my good man. Like your more laid back approach. Do you know what? It's people, everyone is saying when I went on with the girls on Sun and Moon with Patricia and Karen, since having the chakras balanced and a little bit of meditation and going out to Greece to see my mum, and you know, just a lot of alignment, a lot of anchoring, and confidence has come, and a few important duties and tasks have been done that I've been needing to do. And if you look at my first videos, and you look at the middle videos, and then you look at the latter ones now, you will see I have done a video blog for anybody to come across and look at and criticise and praise and grumble how I am and what I've come across as, because I am you and you are me, we are family, and I represent everything, my, you know, spirit and soul and consciousness, the three of that, and I have to improve in areas, as we all do, and coming on YouTube and making videos and presenting oneself, trying to tell the family, the world, you know, how we've become the relationship scribes. You know, you're not subservient. I respect and love and you know, consider you all equal to myself. So we have discovered and been on a journey, and I've presented myself as a testimony to others of how hard and confusing and emotional, personal to some extent, because it does get very, very personal, evil, angry, and you know, the mixtures of where we are, the seriousness of it, the gravitas, the broad spectrum, the sporadic journey, and I have had a few moments in Greece where the universe has given me a big hug, if you like. I'm not going to cry here, but it is quite you know, a massive thing to go on a quest, a journey, to have a vision, to be pulled apart, to be ridiculed, to be laughed at, to be slandered, to have things, you know, just really, it's like if you think of a shot blaster or a sand blaster, it's like we've just walked for miles and years just being pelleted, and there has been good times, there's been happy times, but it hasn't been a flat pedal. And I've also been on a personal quest, and I've listened, and I appreciate, and I try, and that's it, you know. And you're good for me, because you have a way of telling me, much like I have a way of telling you, which is non-aggressive, non-vexatious, respectful, articulate, and beneficial. And we grow together. So I am liking it too. I am not surprised, but I am you know, surprised how long I was with that monkey mind, and with the energy and the passion is still there, the drive is still there. Just that man, fan, to be fair, that just happened to be going around Greece at a time when I was there. You know, he doesn't live there, and he'd been to the Reiki to see my mum, the Reiki, I don't know what to call it, my mum's place, to talk about Reiki, and he'd introduced himself, and she said I was coming over, so he says I'll come back when I'm around and I'll say hello to your son. And she told him bits, and me and my mum are very similar, very similar. We have a clash of personalities, a clash of energies, a clash of auras. She's a Leo, I'm a Taurus. I don't know what that means, but just for those that do, they can help me out here. So she mentions to this bloke, yeah, and he come over to have a chat with me, and it was just truly electric. He was like a psychic man, and what I told him, I had confusion and greyness with. He helped me out. He took me on a little journey. He did. And I told him about the 111 and the threes. He went into my childhood, and he asked my mum when I was 0 to 1, 0 to 1. And then she told him, you know, that's when my dad left at 1, blah, blah, blah. And he said to my mum that I noticed that, and that affected me. And I was like, my mum went, no, he was only just 1, you know. Said my first word at 9 months, my grandma. I had an affinity with my grandma, a very strong one then. I noticed when my dad left, I carried a massive scar. This ADHD, hyperactivity, and whatever was connected to my children. And one, and what was it, 111 and the number 3. He says that there was a tragedy, spiritual, soulful scarring, fracturing at 1, and also at 11. Well, when I was 11, I went to see my dad again because I was too much for my mum as the eldest of 4 offspring. So I was removed to go with my dad at 11, and the other 3 were left there. And so he didn't know any of this, and he says that 111, you can interpret it how you want, but it tells me there are spiritual markers within your life. And I went, I'm on holiday with my mum and I need to, not go crazy here, but that's rather accurate from them 3 numbers, and those 3 numbers I've given to him, and he's interpreted them. And he had a little chat and whatever, and it was incredibly enlightening, satisfying. And yes, if I didn't slow down, there were some days that I ran into myself. I'd be going about my business and be like, hey, Dave, how you doing, mate? And I'd be going that way, and I was like, and he was getting a little bit worried. The jobs and the tasks and the duties and what I do and what I'm laying out before me and the gravitas and how we are and everything else. So energy is is still there, and it's controllable, the anger, the frustration. And if I can do it and I can do these things, and anybody can do it, it's just another indication as to barriers that can be removed that are just mental to some extent. But having your chakras aligned doesn't mean it will fix anything in particular. It might not do anything to anybody. It's just a belief system of which some may know and have and others may not. And crystals may not speak and be of any use to any of you except in a piezo electrical lighter, compression of crystals to generate electricity. But that's kind of quantum link there, isn't it? But yes, the energy and our soul, our spirit, our soul, and our consciousness. This took me a while to work out. I don't mind telling you, so I'll share this with you now, how I now see it without having to read it from paper. I contain a soul and a spirit. My soul is mine, and it is guilty of the sins of the flesh. Now, inside this house, body, atom, with the spirit, with the soul, there is a spirit. See, I nearly slipped then. And the spirit is what is given by the Creator. In my opinion, this isn't advice or anything. And the spirit is given by the Creator, the Holy Spirit. And when you die, you give up that spirit, which is the ghost, the Holy Ghost. But the Holy Spirit, we have the spirit of the Creator, of the Father within us, the essence, the Kundalini. And then you have your soul, the soul and the spirit, but then you have the conscious of the brain. Now, there's a soul, a spirit, and the consciousness, that's 3. Then you are thinking with the brain, that's 4, because it's involved in the motor neural activity. You've got the heart, 5. Then you've got the guts, which is 6. Yeah. So when you just think, it's this voice that you hear, and how you see yourself, who you walk with, who you are, and what you are fundamentally part of, and connected to, is very interesting. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost. Andy and Andy has also just said about the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost. We have the Holy Ghost inside us. The Spirit would be connected to the Holy Ghost. Your soul is your soul. Your consciousness is your consciousness. Your belief is your belief. It is my belief that the Crown's belief, the Crown of London, they're off the rockers. What they believe, the commercial admiralty realm is unsurpassed to any insane lunatic asylum story that I've ever seen. So this is reality though as well, and we've articulated it with your help very, very, very concisely and effectively. I'm happy to say I've got an email from our brother Stephen, who's helping me put together a PDF and a PowerPoint and a video for your last finishing off before I go, more journeys and further publications on the next level. So we're closing off a lot of chapters, we're shutting a lot of doors. The sea of piracy, privacy, another C there, a couple of C's there within the C research that I've done, and the wording. Now C words, they can end with the typical, let me think, because even though it sounds like SEA, war to sea, they are in fact CY ending words. Prophecy, papacy, currency, CY words. Now, don't lose the thread, Dave, I had a point here. Piracy and privacy, yeah, CY words again, but the actual meaning is that, and this is where Win Miller will help me understand now, the structure and layout, verbs, adverbs, Yanka, bless her, because she's not even here, she's actually in Hungary. I'm not like what, but yes, my body language is hilarious, I know. Yanka is asking me about English grammaton and the tetragrammaton, and the grammar there within this language, and she said to me one day when she come home from school, Dad, what's a frontal adjectives or a frontal pronoun? As I told you before, I had to go quickly and look it up with her and go, right then, let me see, just remind myself. And it's very good for me to have that dexterity again at the age of 40, going back to when I was 13, learning GCSE grade English grammar. And I've come to learn even more so with this position of that we have these these misconceptions of the power of these words. So C words and C, currency, the papacy, and the C itself. I'm making a collection, much like Win Miller has done in my work and discovery, and I will make this international dictionary, John, as I've said, and others. You will be required once we get some stability underfoot with regards to current political conditions and stability, and locking down assets and souls and whatnot. Then further down, we will do these publications very, very in-depth and articulate, and list all of the present dictionaries, legal dictionaries, and the languages and the words and the verbiages and the do's and the don'ts, and those words with the two consonants followed by the vowel, and other such things we've found, and what others have taught, we can just put and citate and reference, take out the crap, and then have the comparison there, and then the good, what you would need effectively several hundred words as a key current flowing rolling, like one of them memory cards with your phone numbers on and that just kept spinning. You'd have that going round with a limited amount of vocabulary, and that's all you'd need. You'd have your armoury to one side, but I can see already effectively with a balanced knowledge of gnosis and knowledge of oneself, and an armoury of good education with key competence in civil areas, with the grammar and the science and the balance and the syntaxes, then you're going to be well hard. You're going to have actually the armour, the conscience, the insight, and the wisdom and the knowledge to then, with your conscious, make your informed decision and provide your own remedy on the spot. The language and using like YouTube videos and stuff, what I have to do is I have to spontaneously tell myself what I'm going to say to bring to you. Body language is terrible. Never been a dancer in my life. I think it's about time I did some shapes next door. I don't know, but apologies. But I have to give you a topic, keep context, and from my first video you will see how shockingly egregious, that's bad, shockingly bad I am at that, and splintered and hyper and fast and what's the word, centered and fluid. The fluidity is too fast. I trip over myself, I bump into myself. So not only have you got all of that, but you've got the fact that you mentally have to go ahead and do quite a varied amount of tasks to give the thread, keep it, expand on it, splinter off on it, keep the tenses, going back in history, and when you're not an academic professional and you've had the background that I've had, and you are just a humble idiot, and you make not errors and omissions, because that would be in a commercial capacity, as we've come to find now, in my opinion, but we make mistakes, and we make we're rushed, and we're the anger and the cloudiness, it's all has an effect. So it's just about perfecting myself, and by me reflecting that on you, and with this language and the presentation and what we do, it's good training for me for when when I get in front of the black robe and I have to articulate and go. Then when you've had shills and trills, we'll just call them, and haters and good scribes that are knowledgeable, that pick up on your claims and your presence of hypothetical, legal and lawful claims and remedies, and you're quite on it and fast, and that puts pressure back on me, and it's a two-way thing. So overall, you get, I get, and the language, I never knew that this inside the dome, at the pillars by the temple, where the sparks happening, that I'm sorry, but it's I'm more surprised than anybody about the unfathomable amounts of articulate, concise, random, spontaneous, intelligent things that we can do with something that's nothing, and like I said, with the logos and the word coming with phonics, resonance, Tesla 369, vortex mathematics, my coconut's gonna crack. That tells you where we're at, and then for the consciousness to then develop the language, and for the language then later to go back to the consciousness to help that grow. That's a beautiful thing. And that makes the efforts of what we're going to, depending on your level of awareness, brilliant. The 100th monkey principle is a real thing. So I just fell over, had to sit down and pick myself up. I went, no, somebody's made a mistake. Someone's clearly made a mistake. Monkeys do not pick up messages through over the waves, hundreds of miles apart, because so many other monkeys have learned something. I refuse to believe that with any credence, and I went off, and I was going to prove I'm wrong, wasn't I? And then I realised, not going to prove I'm wrong, are you, Dave? Because it actually seems to have happened. So it is a beautiful thing that we could, get to that equivalent of. But I don't think that because of the smart technology and the desire to be a singer and rich and famous and get rich or die, die trying, then it's not going to happen. So we're going to have to do publications. We're going to have to help this boost along. The alchemic mixture for the defence of law, in law, at law, full of legal claims, and the manslaughter which is occurring through egregious, shockingly bad, belligerence, torts, and all these legal areas that we've been into. and the language and the style and the negative and the positive and the natural. I feel Pazio's anger, but I will not inflict it upon you, and we will do it, as we continue to, and have done in the past. We'll continue to do that. I'm not responsible for any of you other than myself, and we have an agreement and an understanding here. But the development, I realise this is all from that one comment about my, different energy, we'll call it. So it is what you seek, you will find, and it just takes in some cases a long time. It takes a lot of random, weird encounters that the universe will line up for you and present to you. Whether you accept it and deal with it correctly and take it on board, and or whether you don't is another thing. But those opportunities are presented if you are rightful of them. Spiritual gypsy, John. Wow, just saw that. Midnight's in the house. Aye, aye. What are we doing here? Yeah, much like you. Yeah, that was you, Michael, eh? Oh, nice. I've skimmed them. Yeah. What we saying? Any questions? Any updates? Anything in the news I've missed? I've had my head in the clouds for a good 10 days. To be fair, I've been with brother Smithy for a week or so, and then I've had to catch up with personal, private stuff, and now I'm on a several week break, not chosen, just as it's happened, and we will see where we go. I'm going to get out moving around. I want to get to some major cities, or where you are, and meet up and do anything. If you've been looking to get hold of me or any of the others, request-wise, meetings, pop-up cafes, seminars, private areas where we could gather in small numbers, then let me know. I'm all about that. The annual general meeting, aka the annual seminar, sovereign, what do we call it? Last year it was called the annual meeting, conference, seminar. So we'll look at doing that. I am a little bit behind, but give me 72 hours. It's amazing how many tasks I can chew through. When I was sat in the corporate building back there for the warehousing industry, I used to chomp through emails and tasks and duties and thinking, oh, this is for somebody else to make shareholders richer. I'm not going to benefit from this at all. It's going to put me into an early grave, stress me out, make me smoke more fags, make me work afternoon shifts, day shifts, afternoon shifts, day shifts, move me around departments, be hostile and aggressive towards me, non-supportive and adversarial if I have any time off sick. Wow, and I'm a level 6 manager for this corporate facility, that has no trust. And so I got out of there, as you know, and doing it for yourself is a little bit more scary, especially when you've got a queen like Anne-Marie that's got expectations like Tubas, and much like the government has that religion there, the UKG government, and its expectations and belief system. Well, yes, what their beliefs and our beliefs are, might not actually meet eye to eye, but I have some time. I'm going to utilise it effectively and not be a busy fool. We're going to get about though, and we're going to do some positive, good things. Who knows? But what I do know is it's on. So bear that in mind when I'm casting, and for the next few weeks, August 14 till August 31, I'm going to take Anne-Marie to see her mum. Annual trip. My mum's not well enough to get on a plane and come over to the landmass here, so I'm going to take a steady trip again, and we're going to have a bon voyage from East Mids over to Hungary in the 200,000 1.9 TDI. What? Yes, I have got European breakdown cover should anything happen to go twang, because the MOT is in the middle of September when we come back. So I'm going to try and eke out 1,560-ish miles return trip, 2,000, what we're saying, 3,120 without the travel in there, so about 3,500 4,000 miles more before the MOT. Brakes and discs and pads and everything like that, and servicing and filters have been cleaned and checked. Me and Roger did them, so I know that vehicle. Iron Horse vehicle, still there. Yeah, I know it like the back of my hand, and it's all good. So I just want a few more last minute checks, and then we'll go for the MOT and the emissions and see what that dirty diesel's not got in it. But yes, I'll be off for 2 weeks, but I'll still be randomly going out reporting the commercial arena as I find it out there, to you, but less. So that'll be interesting. We'll see what's happening in Hungary and what I can bring you there internationally. I'd like to say I'm going to Bosnia to go and give Sam a fist bump and see what new tunnels they've dug out in the ravine system, and just have a quick run round and a quick burn on the top of the pyramid to go, we'll see. And then end of August back here till probably September, let me think, July and August, yeah, maybe middle of September. We'll see how bad the weather gets, and then in that point I should have had the details back from the land registry regarding my person and whether or not there are any certifications held there, and proceed with looking at not necessarily rebutting the CQV of 1666 or the 1500 and the 1700 one, but looking at how to swap the public certification of birth, maybe surrender it if there is an alternative in the private realm to operate in, of which would carry full indemnification, remedy, maintenance and cure upon surrendering the public debtor certificate of birth, and making an agreement in the realms of, and then moving forward to go on as that agreement stands. And I don't see why one would need a certification of any other kind when you've got assets and instruments of equitable nature such as that. But yes, I just like to explore and use my own mind, and line of inquiry, and just because that's how it is, and we will see. So all things considered, we are on track. It has been a bumpy ride. It has not been easy. From acquiescence and estoppel to trust and equity in 5 years of intensive knuckle grinding, 3 o'clock in the morning, falling asleep, keyboard pressing on your face, half-eaten food, piles of paperwork scattered everywhere, printer ink on your hands because you're refilling them, you're doing that much printing, and you've got all these, and I hear and I know what's coming off. Filing systems, sort them out, all right? Put your papers neat, put paperweights on them, yet things are open and closing, because we're all as bad as each other with that. If you've got a tidy mind, like much like the proverb, the philosophy, healthy body, healthy mind, well, if you have an untidy, unlittered place of living, habitual place, residence, work, conveyance, and so forth and so on, shed, there's not much else left. It's indicative of your nature, of your feeling at the time. Most of us that have that spring clean in the beginning of the year are mentally setting stuff up for going on. Much like getting up in the morning and stabbing your toe means that the rest of the day is going to be horrible. Well, not necessarily, but it can be, and usually is, if you let that negative mindset buzz continue from first things getting up and standing on the toy, stabbing your toe. Maybe you've got a puppy and you're standing in a new puppy poo and you're like, what? It's all being done. I know, I hear it, I've been there. I opened the door once and made a brown rainbow. Oh wow, just when you get up before work, it's not what you need, is it? No, it's not particularly nice, but that's life, it tests you, it does. Sorry, brown rainbow. These things in life, and yes, cleanliness. So cluttering and untidiness is indicative of a man or a woman with the problem of the cognitive and so forth. So if you have got that untidiness and you've been meaning to clean it, then clean it. We can help ourselves now to help ourselves sometimes we are our own worst enemy. Breathing, that's the one for me. Breathing, yeah, balance, detoxification of those dirty footprints in your mind and the bad teachings and the deletion of old superfluous systems. Dr. John. David, thanks for all you're doing. It's alright, Andy. You're welcome, brother. Thank you. Let me put the link. Oh, you have to be blue. I have to make you a mod. Wait there, Steve. We have the power. He says, unless they've changed that, unless that's been revoked from us now. Actions. Add moderator. 1 second. Now you can post a link. Okay, it just disappeared. You can do it now, Steve. If not, yeah, and midnight can do it, yeah. That's linked to the video by the description. I can really identify with you guys. I dig it. Dom Dowd. I dig it. Yes, you can I kick it? Yes, you can. This took me back to Arrested Development and Mr. Wendell and so forth. I dig it. We're laid back, we're informal, we're honest, we're disclosed. Sometimes we are silly. That is mostly my department. So, you know, in this somber light of the horridness of, you know, what you have to have that lightness. You have to have that ability to. But thank you, Don. There we go. MG's done that. Are you gardening soon, MG? It's the silly things in life. See stuff like that. Yes. Rest of the week. No, rest of the weekend. Wicked. Oh, wow. You do make me laugh, Scribes. You're the best. 22 in the house and 6 likes. We're doing better and better. Switch from the micro to the macro. Yes, Dom. Indeed. That's it. I don't know if it is kept in there, to be fair. I think it's a bit of dipping into the sea. Now this is another sea, the sea of tranquility, the sea of potentiality, consciousness, the seas of yes. Wow, it's interesting, isn't it? Miles, bless you. Nice one, MG. Leftovers eat too much, so it's fun too. Good on you, John. I do like that. Sounds nice. You've made Leeds hungry, look. The dates? Do they really? I will check that, Don, before I have even considered that before. No, I haven't, but I will check that. Pol, I see. And if not, yeah, the AA do like 2 weeks for 200 and they call out as many times or 5 times and they'll do 5 repairs up to 500 sheets and then you have to stump the rest. So having the 200,000 miles club, not kilometres, miles, then likely to have a pop somewhere, aren't we? Or a springo or suspension, clutch, gearbox. Let's not talk about it because we attract it. Nothing will be happening and all is fine. She's a strong horse and a fine horse at that. These are from plastic. Yes, I am actually doing that right now, MG. Yes, right. Stop it, John. I know what you're on about. Slow cook. Boiled it off. Oh, wow. You sticky mess, man. You. Making my mouth water. Tribe Called Quest. Easy now. That's it. Ken, Co together to get her coffee. Much like by coincidence. So yeah, is 2 operative. Well, not necessarily 2 then. No, by is 2 to be fair. Is with another or with others then. I'm not specific on that, but it means not alone. Coincidence. So A coincidence is when your path, which is the straight path, and your destiny coincide. So if you've got a line that you should be walking and you've got a spirally S shape going off, then when you have that spirally S shape coincide with the path, then that's what we call coincidence. But over time, that spiral, think of a copper area, think of a Tesla tower. Or an aerial which has a signal, and the signal is wrapped round, and as it travels round the spiral, normally copper, towards the end of the aerial, by the time it gets to the end point of the aerial, it's at a speed that fires off really fast when it is transceiving, not receiving. To transceive, the signal fires off like that. So that's what I'm getting the ideas from with let's see. The pathway is an S, a snake shape, but it's very relaxed. And then over time, much like the top of the aerials down here, the fast bits there, and your destiny straight path, and then your coincidence become more frequent, and that's the synchronicities. Then is another word we use for it. And then when the time you're locked on and you hit that jet stream, there's no stopping, and the confusion is over, and the times are good. So I just thought I'd put that out there as I've seen it. We're going now, it's getting late. I just wanted to do a quick update, say yo Shabba, who's in the house, what. Yes, you can, Leeds. I'll say it before anyone else does. That's my Master of Ceremonies honour. So you broke here. Yeah, there, just in case. Back instead. Thank you, John. Much appreciated, brother. The plus that will kick it. If Volkswagen Touran 200 and something, I'll show you. I'll go live and show you before we go, and we'll see if we make it. I think we will. I think it'll all be fine. I reckon I'll get to the 300,000 club. Sent the V5s back to the DVLA. Like I did tell you about that. That's before we got to talk about that before we go. Are you talking about a house or a car, David? I went, you are the DVLA. It'd be a fine day when an English fellow rings up the DVLA and inquires about a house with the swan sea of agents that deal with vehicles only. I said, no, we're talking about what did I say? A private automobile. You understand me, don't you? He went, oh right, yes, just checking. I'm like, I didn't say automobile ever, did I? You know, I didn't reference anything to do with house. I mean, I didn't say house ever. I didn't say automobile. I said private vehicle. So he understood it, and then automobile later. But when he was rather perplexed about what private property was, and I rang him up to say that titles to property have changed, and I'm obliged to let them know that trust property is in play, which is private. He then understood and came back to me and said, is it to do with tax and insurance and MOT? I went, no, this call has nothing to do with tax and insurance and MOT. It is about the fact that I've got some certificates here, my good fellow, that are called V5s in the United Kingdom. I said, and there's a legal name on there, which is down as the legal trustee with possessory title. I said, now this legal trustee with possessory title on this certificate from the United Kingdom, my fine fellow, is actually incorrect. And I'm obliged under law, with trusts now, duties and responsibilities, to tell you and communicate effectively, and you are deemed to have been served and duly obligated and informed on this matter. Now what you choose to do with this information is up to you. It's your policy, isn't it? This is our private property. There's bills of sales written in purple now, not blue, the debtor ink, but I'm not a captain, neither am I an admiral. I don't own a boat, and I'm not likely to join that club ever. So what ink I use really doesn't affect me, and I don't want my notices to be filed in their systems because I don't so much recognise them, give them credence, or even want to use them. So, yes, in itself, the DVLA agent told me to send back the certificates for the vehicles. Excuse my words, we're at ease and it's simplified. It's the notices themselves that will do the conveyancing of the administration of the trust and of the titles in the trust and the removal of the legal person of my legal name there. So. Yes, I said to him, "You want me to send back the certificates, do you, with the cover letter and the bills of sale that in law tell you that the owner is our Queenie here, and I'm not sending you any of the details of the trust there, my good man. I'm not obliged to, neither can I, because it will have detrimental results for the private trust this end and in law. So." I'm okay to send you back the certification. I will send a cover letter, an affidavit, statement of truth, and authority and permission for you, the agents. Not forget, lest we not be deceived and forget that we are talking to the driver vehicle licensing agency. Now they are in a constructed trust in a beneficial position of which they think they're sitting quite pretty. They don't need to mention tax and MOT and insurance and free man and number plates and insignias. You just tell them there's a simple lawful change here that needs some kind of administration. It's not my concern of how you do that, but the titles of the property and the legal positions need to be updated. And I'm obliged to update you. Furthermore, any kind of contracts in the commercial realm, they will be dealt with the trust, and here are the details and so forth, and that needs to be done anyway. And obviously, they're not my number plates. I didn't want the number plates, so they came on the Iron Horse. But now it's private property and it's non-commercial. It will be requiring no longer to be on that property, as it is identified uniquely by a chassis number. Any damage, dints, modifications, or particulars about it, such as the decals and stuff that I might have on there that make it specific and unique and non confusing with any other blue 2005 1.9 diesel Turan on the road. So Queen's Highway, public highway out there at all. So that's been done, and I'm very, very interested to see. Now I've got no V5 certifications in the filing cabinet for said property. On the advice of that agent, they have been sent back with the cover note, with the affidavit, with the bills of exchange, and with the titles to be administered, to be done. So that's going to be updated to you via the .com in private, but I will let you know what the build-up is. And I've got the, like I say, DSAR with the GDPR at the land registry, and I've got the contact details and emails for that down there should it be successful and come back with what I am expecting after Romley Stewart and the Gloucester Channel's proposals of creditors certificates coming up empty. I've taken that Romley, Gloucester, and I'm doing the United Kingdom Anglican version myself on my own way, because that way what you proposed come to a dead end seemed very confusing. And I hear what you're saying, and we're aware of the dates and the Cesta K and the Cesta KV being two different separate things, and it may work different in the New South Wales news, Australian departments and that, but trust us, we will outline that and bring back to you what we find in the appropriate way, and then you can share that between you and once we've released it. But some things I can chat and update about, but other things I will not do on this channel publicly. We'll have to find that later on in the private and distribute it as you are duly entrusted with. The others, the nasty ones, the ones that just are lazy and steal stuff and want to lay claim, you will get it when you get it. So that's important to mention. Wow, is it a house? What? My mum loved that when I told her. She deafened me with her laughter. He did kick it there. He would do. Reverse speech, a sentence in reverse. Things in reverse, language, subconscious language is reverse. reading reverse what they send us is sometimes how they speak is very interesting. So I can't wait for the DVLA outcome, because you can't argue with law when you say to them that the access titles to the property have changed. It's no longer listed as a a private light goods vehicle, a PLGV, or is it a private light goods vehicle? There's no private there, is there? Let's face it. Even if it did say P, doesn't mean that at all. You're in public light goods PL vehicle. It's not a vehicle, it's not public, and it's not light goods. So it's all classified wrong. It's private, and we need to address this. The bills of sale, watch Django Unchained, when that man goes in and says, I'm taking Django. And he ends up throwing his cart on the man, and that man's on the floor like the slave master at the time who has got Django. He says, I got the bill of sale, I own that boy. He takes him anyway, but he's saying, I've got that in law, I own that, boy, forgive me, not my words. Disgusting, but yes, the bill of sale in law will be the definite article that wins the day when anybody wants to claim ownership or allodial title. When you want to claim title to owning something, but owning is ownership, allodial title, that's my property, yeah, you claim that. Whoever makes the claim is obliged to provide the burden of proof. The burden of proof is the bill of sale, and that is obliged to back up the claim that that property is mine. Now, trusts and in asset protection and so forth and so on is one thing. Trusts and then asset protection and trustees, legal ones that are due to administrate for that, and then beneficiaries that might want to use that property rather than it be asset protected would be beneficiaries of it, but the property would be a res in a trust still, but it would be kind of, you can't asset protect and kind of use it at the same time. Now a judge might say to you, well, preposterous there, Jeremy David. I don't see a trust, I see an agency. And the ultimate thing that you need to know that really sways the day, and what the argumentation pivots upon with regards to agencies and trust and properties and titles and access, is what? Did you listen? I've told it you a few times. What is it? When they claim, I won't tell it you this time, but it's key and it's important, and you need to know how to answer that, to defend and to articulate and to counter what the assumptions are. So there is, I'm finishing as well where it leads. There is a position of which you say about the title and the property. That is, I know that trustees and agents and access to properties, if an agent is collecting something or is entrusted with a debt for collection, or an agent is doing something, do they have access to the property? Think about it. If an item is in a trust and a man is dealing with it as a trustee, a man or a woman, and they're in a trust, do they have access to the property? Think about it. The difference between an agency and a trust and so forth is who has access to the property. A trustee in a trust has access to the property, so that means you are a trustee if you have access to the property. If you don't have access to the property and you're trying to call yourself a trustee, you're actually an agent. So this is paraphrasing, but there you go. So interesting and concise. We're going to bed. We are indeed. It is time for beds. Look, nearly 12 bells. So yeah, much love to you. Can I put an unoffsetted van into a trust? Dom, an unoffsetted, what do you mean? Am I being thick here? I'll answer that before we go. I don't know what unoffsetted means. Put that into English for me. A non-registered, is that what you're saying? Thank you. Is RN on another platform yet at Super Leads? RN, don't know. No MG. Naria, hello there. New scribe. I haven't seen that name before. 9 blessings, thank you. 19, 8 thumbs up. You can put any, right, what you can do, I don't need to know what you're going to say there, Don, because the answer is, if you have titled ownership, a allodial title to that property, you can put it into a trust. You can't put someone else's property. If I've got the receipt, bill of sale for an item, and you don't want to put that into a trust, you can't, because you don't have the rights and title to that property. If any of you out there, that being Dom now, have rights and title to that unoffsetted van, then yes, you can put that into a trust. I don't know what you mean by unoffsetted, but if you can claim and prove in law, in a court of law, in paperwork, irrefutably, in front of the officers, trustees, constables, agents, everything, that that title to that property is yours, you hold it, and then you've got a trust. You're not going to show anyone, but that's where that asset is protected within that trust, and you've got the right to do that, because those with, let's go with those with. Right, so David, you can't put that Turan and the Tigre into a trust, because you've got a V5 for it, and you signed off and gave them the title. So you know you've got legal possessory title, and you haven't got a lodial title. So you haven't got the right then to sell that to your queen and produce a bill of sale. Stop. Hammer time. Ding 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 ding. Ding ding. Can't touch this. Ding 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 ding. Ding, ding, can't touch this. Break it down. Oh. Right, because that trust what the DVLA put us into, which is a public, statutory, constructed, pagan, divided, Club of Rome, extra special trust of doom, wasn't disclosed to man. It was deceptive. It doesn't stand, does it? Because it was fraudulent. So man has the allodial title and everything reset when you find out you're a trustee in a trust that you wasn't told you're a trustee in. Bum shanker. Does it sound very nice, that? You think we're bad? You're not that bad, not like those. That's nasty. That's proper, So yes, you can, and they have been deceptive, and it all works out until you find out whom and what and when and why, which is all why all of this has come out so late in 2017 onwards, mainly because you wasn't supposed to know this, because this is how it all works. And I think we're done. I'm getting giddy, look. You got me giddy now. I was proud of my maintained constant level. But it happens. It's work in progress. I haven't claimed on any expenses. What we're saying here, Dom, I've missed it. We'll talk. I'm on emails all day tomorrow, so david@splspro.com. Hit me up with your whatevers, and thank you for what you're about to give or what you already have, and I will be replying in the next 24 hours. I can make that promise. I can indeed. There is a good 60 something to get through, but not a problem. Can I put the magnetic field into a trust? No, you cannot, John, because it's what's the word there? It's intangible. You can put intangible things in a trust, but if you had a magnetic ring, just John, wow, bless you. Yes and no. You could put a private magnetic field into a trust, couldn't you? But we're shutting down. Stop it. I said, yeah. I said, thank you, Dom. All right, then. So you understand that it doesn't matter. It's just whoever has the rights of the allodial title there has the rights to entrust the property. So I will see you soon through week, through window. We've got a lot to do, all in moderation. And that'll do. Ciao, bello. Peace and love. Look after one another. Stay strong. Don't let the gits get you down. All right. Thank you to the 23 scribes, and stay tuned for serious updates over the next several weeks. Much love. Many thanks. Yes, Leeds. Thank you. Dazzy with the arm. Oh, strong arm. The strong arm of the self-initiate scriber. Clint, every time, bless you. Clint, get your own channel name, and then it'll make life a lot easier for you. But much love to one and all. I bow before your supremacy. Get ready. Let's keep on peeled. Look after each other and your fam. Everybody a hug from Brother Dave. All right. Much love and ciao for now.